Well, good morning, everybody. This is the Saturday morning Air Restore call, and it is almost the last day of April, 29th of April. The year is basically one-third gone, and we got a lot of work to do if we're going to accomplish our goals this year, and we are making good progress and have got an awful lot of things in the works, but it's finally in the final analysis up to each individual person out there to be able to bring people in and to start building the organization, to start having a vision for where they're going to go. So we're going to just talk a little bit about some of those things. I ask all the panelists if you would mute unless you are talking, because we are picking up some feedback. So if you wouldn't mind muting a little bit. All right, well, let's go. Let's say good morning to who we do have on the panel. We've got some good people, people with some good information. They're all good people, but it's people with good information. So just please introduce yourself, panel. We'll start with you, Cher.
Good morning, everybody, from beautiful Hilton Head, South Carolina, and Bluffton, South Carolina, where I now live, just over the bridge. Happy to be with everybody this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you. And you look like you're recovering from your move. It looks like you actually almost live there.
Almost. The books are almost done on the shelf. I've been busy unpacking kitchens and closets. So.
Okay. Lori.
Good morning. This is Lori from Crossville, Tennessee.
And I was just driving through Crossville yesterday, and it's a lovely time of year there. And I noticed you still got lots of pollens out there. You've got a lot of mold starting to bloom. You got ideal conditions. I don't know how you can beat that kind of living. Good to have you. Ken.
Yes, sir. Ken Docker from Spring Branch, beautiful Spring Branch, Texas.
And so we're going to be down there taking a look at what's going on in a lot of your country in a couple of weeks. And I'm anxious to hear what kinds of preparations and what you think is going to happen. So good to have you here with us.
Sure.
Dave Miller.
This is Dave and Lori in Fort Worth, Texas. It's a great day to be in AirRestore.
That is so good, so true. And Rick.
There we go. Rick Stein in beautiful Fairgrove, Missouri, just overcast and dark and rainy. And I got a break in the rain right now. And we also have a church cleanup day I got to go to and do some fixing on the church.
Well, that's good. And I think I'm going to be seeing you in a couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken. You're on the tour, so that's going to be super. Looking forward to it.
New thing for me, so I'm finding out how to find good places to meet and all that good stuff. So it's definitely a learning curve.
Excellent. And then I think right after I see you, I'm going to head over and see Dave Ball. Dave, are you there?
Yes. Welcome to Arkansas. And it's going to be a beautiful morning, rainy afternoon, and possible storm. But we're looking for diamonds over here and trying to find them and get them polished up for you, Bill.
Okay. Oh, real good. We'll be seeing you then. And Sherry, how you doing?
Yes. Good morning, everyone from New Jersey. Last night and early morning was one of the worst kind of weather we had. We had thunderstorm and lightning. We lost power. And then now the sun is out again.
Well, I'll tell you what, the whole East Coast has been getting their share of rain, and I was just kind of laughing. Looking yesterday, we had about 80 degrees down here, and I was looking at in Denver, they were having snow. And so this is that transitional time of the year, but it's a beautiful time of the year because this is the time when people really start to notice the difference between indoor air and outdoor air. It's a time when we really have some opportunities to get out and share the product with a lot of people. People have tended to be cooped up all winter long, and they didn't realize how bad it was until they finally get in to some fresh air and get in the outdoors, that they really realize how important outdoor air really is. So can I have you check your mutes, please? Somebody's unmuted. And so just to give everybody an idea, we had a good month. We grew last month. It looks to me like we grew about 30%. I haven't seen the final numbers yet, but it's going to be something in the area of about 30%, and that's good. At this time of year, as we are still working towards our launch, we're going to have some announcements that we're going to be making right at the beginning of the month, about this month, as we move one step closer to getting fully back into business. I don't know what to call that particular phase, but everybody needs to pay very close attention, and we're going to get some announcements out in the very first part of the month. I think we're going to have some kind of special things that we're going to do. But more than anything, this is the time when people still need to be out building their business. I can tell you that we are ready to be able to support it. We actually ended up the end of the month with inventory on the shelves that we could actually ship, so that there really is no delay in shipping. We are now fully invested in getting not only the elements, but we are also getting the Tempest up and running. We discovered yesterday that not everybody knew that we were selling both wall plugs and corded units in the Tempest version. I guess we forgot to tell everybody that the temporary hold we had on the plug-in units had been removed. So we're shipping, and even the delays that we're having in the upgrades are really at a minimum. I was looking Thursday at how far back we were on there. We were only about 3 days, 4 days behind on getting upgrades done. Which is pretty good. We always were hoping that we could stay within a week to 10 days, and that means that things are getting in and getting out in pretty good order. So what I can say is basically we're ready to go. We've still got some issues that we need to solve in getting the computers and computer system up to speed. But Eric, if you'd like to address delays, how long things are taking and are not taking, and what people can do to help, it might be a good time.
I like that way, how long things are not taking, addressing it. We're actually up to date. I mean, we're handling the calls that are coming in. We're getting a lot of calls, which is good. And shipments going out. Yep. Oh, I thought you were saying something. And so it's been good to and we can still grow. So keep them coming. We're ready.
And the thing, of course, everybody wants to know that the mailbox money checks and the preferred customer checks and the retail sale checks are all going out on time, and we're keeping up with that.
Yep. Saw a bunch go out on Friday.
So in a lot of respects, we're really ready to go. I know that you're still in the process of going through the website and making sure that we've got that all up to date. You want to talk a little bit about what you're doing there?
Yeah, we've just got some updates to do to the enhanced plan document, and I guess just a little bit of cleanup. We'll be adding some more documents. That's what's really needs to happen now, is we've kind of taken down everything that wasn't up to date, which kind of strips everything down, and now we're getting things built back up with like I say, the enhanced document and the single page and things like that.
So one of the things that people, and it's going back to what we've been talking about for a long time, the one thing we absolutely need the worst are testimonials. I mean, we just, it's like when you start talking to somebody and you get them talking, they've got 10 testimonials that we wish we would have and have shared, and nobody thinks that they're very good. And I find them all fascinating. And I think really when it comes right down to it, that's what sells the product. And so I don't know what we can do, whether you've got any ideas to make it simpler, or what they can do to help get those testimonials down. Even on the Monday night call, that would be a real help.
Right. Any form or fashion would be great.
Yeah, I think sometimes we get so used to the magic of the AirRestore that we don't think of it as magic anymore. Yeah, well, so now I can sleep. Now I don't snore anymore, and I can have my old dog in the house, all those kinds of things that we're so used to. People that are looking at this product and wondering why it's different don't have the advantage of that. And so the testimonials are the only thing we've got. And so I would encourage anybody looking at this video to give you a call, and Eric, and if they can't write it down, we'll find some way to write it down for them or do something. But we need to get those testimonials online, and we will start doing something to see if we can enhance that retrieval process, I'll call it. It's what we're doing when we have to try to pry these things out of people's memory banks because we're so used to it. So that's good. So we're set, pretty much ready to go. We're all caught up. We made it through the end of the month. I don't know what's going to happen today and tomorrow. There'll be a backlog, I'm sure, when you get in on Monday morning. But basically, we are really kind of running through these things in a very organized manner. We occasionally find that we've got a little glitch that we have to still iron out, but they are really minor. It looks like people are getting their product. I don't know what the experience is in the field, but anybody that on the panel that's had experience in getting product, how long is it really taking for the product to actually arrive in the field from the time you ordered, and what's the experience been? Anybody got a comment?
I have a comment about one of the new dealer that we had. Hers was shipped, and within 3 days it was at the post office where it was supposed to be, and that is phenomenal. Just to get it that quick after she went online on Tuesday, and then it was there at her post office on Friday. Even though the post office misplaced it, that's U.S. government for you. But AirRestore came through like with flying colors. And Michaela was even searching it, and she said, well, it's supposed to be there. Well, it was. The post office just couldn't find it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody else had some experience? 2 or 3 days pretty normal? What is the time it takes to usually get something from the time it's ordered?
Usually 3 to 4 days, and that's a pretty good turnaround.
Yeah, it's sorely tempting when you can get get it turned around like that, not to carry much inventory, and that's kind of what we want. We don't want people to have big inventories, but boy, I sure would encourage any leader to always have a little bit of inventory. I know that I have caught myself realizing that I was trying to tell somebody about the business and I didn't even have one, and so I make it a point to just at least have one in the car that I can go back out and get if I have to. But you need to have inventory. You need to have something to sell out of that wagon. And if you don't, you just miss golden opportunities, I think. Anybody else got a comment? Well, let's talk about a slightly different subject. But we are extremely blessed to be able to have a product that is and that would by itself all that you really need to build a business on. And yet we're doing this thing through a network marketing, which happens to just pair it up perfectly because we've got a product that absolutely needs to be experienced, absolutely needs to be shown. You can't talk about it. I don't think you can build a website that can do justice to what this product is, or to be able to show how it differs from everything else in the marketplace. I think, Eric, you would agree with me that we have put a lot of effort into experimental advertising and things like that, trying to find some way other than network marketing to be able to sell the product. To see if we have something we could add to the system. Share a little bit, if you can, about the experience of how difficult that is.
Well, I think we kind of talked about it on Monday too, that getting people to understand how different it is than anything that they've experienced before, and what it's like to be living in a fresh air environment. And fresh air is used for everything. Febreze is described as fresh air, and we know that that's not really true. And just a filter being fresh air isn't very accurate and to what we actually do. And so getting people to try it is really the only way for us to get the point across. and to go, oh, that's what you mean. This is really different.
Yeah, and I know that you and Rocky have put in tons of work, especially back when we were experimenting with Critter Zone, to try to find some way to attract the people's attention. And you guys are, very clever with the kinds of images and the things that attract attention. And it is still difficult, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's because it's all been said before about other products and it wasn't very accurate. Now we're trying to use the same words, but be more. But now we mean it, and so that's the hard part to differentiate. Is like, no, really, this is really fresh air now.
Yeah, I'm just kind of leading up to a point because we have tried it, and I know every time we get some new people in to the business, the first thing they want to do is go on the internet, put up a website, do those kinds of things, and we know how unproductive it is because we have tried it. And I keep telling people, if it were that simple, we'd do it. But the fact of the matter is, it is not simple. What you need to do is you need to get in front of people. You need to find strategies to get in front of people. And that's the kind of thing so that if we've got a real product and you got the right strategy to get in front of somebody, now you can marry those two things together. And it's important that we talk about that, especially when we've been talking about recently the changes in the marketing plan, and all the enhancements that we've made, and all those things are good, but it all fails unless, number one, we are out in front of people and give ourselves those opportunities and give other people the opportunity to see what we've got. And then once we've got that, once you lead with the product, then the marketing plan comes along and they go, oh, wow, this is even better than I thought. I can actually make money on this and I can see myself doing it. So one of the things that we wanted to kind of talk about today was, how do you find those opportunities? If you're not going to network, and you're just getting started in an area and you're not an experienced networker with a mailing list of 10,000 people like Bob Colasadi had that was talking last on the leadership call last week, what's the strategy? How can you go about? Where can you go about getting some of those fresh leads? And so we got, I thought it would be good to talk. Obviously, some of the things that we do are things like in the workplace and your friends and your church and some things like that. But are there other strategies that we can use? And one of the best strategies we used years ago in the old company were small shows. And Lori, you've had a lot of experience in the small shows because that's how, number one, you kind of got involved in your community and the network and introduced it to where you're now Queen of AirRestore in Crossville. So talk about the strategy, what it costs, how you get in, just a little bit.
There's always something going on in my community because it's predominantly a retirement community. However, I do watch the newspapers to see what kind of events are coming up, and you try to work, with what the events are. I do have a pet, it's called Woofstock, coming up in May, and that's been it's very interesting to go into a different area where, it's pet related, and you have to curtail whatever it is the show is about to how our product can help in that. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just going to comment. So is this a furry version of Woodstock? Is that what it is?
It is. And actually, I get kind of bummed out because I don't get to watch all the canine demonstrations or the peanut butter licking contests because I'm manning my booth. But it's there's different things, and like this one is a $20 donation. That's what the fee is. You have to really kind of look into what the entry fees are, because I think Eric was the one who explained to me was that take your fee and decide how many units or systems you need to sell in order to make up for your entry fee. And that's always good because, the $500 fees are just a little bit too much to bite off. The one thing that I always have is I purchased a old Alpine unit from an old Alpine dealer. And that is always on my table because that attracts a lot of people because they recognize that. And then it's very easy to compare new technology with old technology.
Yeah, and And you know, I've been to one of one of the shows in your community, and they're small. There's not a lot of booths in there. That's why it's not very expensive. I don't know what that one that I helped you out with was cost, but there were not a lot of booths. So your return on that investment has got to be high. Your expectation is that you can get in there, get the show done, and get the leads and really work it, and you don't have that back-breaking and pocketbook breaking investment, you know, and I think that a lot of times we kind of tend to miss that opportunity to be there.
One of the good things about doing shows is to get there early and demo the product to the other vendors. That's very important because they're there, they know why you're there, and everybody wants to share their product. In fact, I did a show where I didn't approach one of the guys, and he sat there and he says, you know, I keep seeing you do things over here. What are you doing? And he was just so ecstatic about, you know, oh, wow, that's pretty cool, the ammonia demonstration. So, you know, sometimes you get other vendors who are curious too as to what you're doing, but that's a very good thing is to approach the other vendors when you have the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm sure. Ken, I know you made good use of those small kind of limited scope shows as well. How's it work for you?
Well, you know, Bill, we found that anytime you expose yourself and your product, it's good. And as a matter of fact, we're going to leave here after this webinar and do a market day for the Chamber of Commerce, and I'll work one booth for the Holy Smokers. Actually, that's our barbecue team from the church, and then Mario will be working in this area's Republican women's booth. And so we get a lot of exposure. We get a lot of exposure with people that we know. But you know what astonishes me is how many people we know that don't know what we do.
Yeah.
And so it's a constant effort to explain to people what we do. Some of them have known us for years, and yet they still hadn't figured out what we do. We were with a former dealer last night. And, you know, that question is, are y'all still
selling them air things?
Yeah. And, you know, well, yes, we are. And she said, well, I'm ready to get back in. Well, she doesn't know what back in means, but we do.
Yep.
And so, you know, it's just a constant effort to keep yourself in front of people, and shows are one of the ways of doing it. You get a lot of folks coming by you, and it gives you a chance, but you got to have that elevator message down. You got to be able to say it quickly.
I would ask Cher to say that message very quickly, but I didn't want to panic her. Cher, what is that elevator message?
All we do is restore the energy back into the air to make indoor air act like outdoor air.
Now, see, isn't that simple?
Wow.
All right, we should give her a hand. You know, but you know, we laugh about that. But having that message in the back of your head, the tip of your tongue, when anybody says that, you have really just told them a lot of something that they should be interested in, and it gives you the possibility of going in so many different directions. Ken, if I could just go back to you a second, when you're looking at a show like that, and I know you did a little one for some real estate people a while back. Typically, what kind of an investment and what does it cost to do something like that?
Well, we've learned, like Lori, over the years, that the high dollar investments are not good. You put yourself at a disadvantage. You almost make yourself panic. You've got to sell product in order to justify the investment. And so it's the small meetings. As a matter of fact, the small real estate meetings are a whole lot better than the big ones. So, you know, smaller and less expensive is far better. You just do a bunch of them. And here again, all you're doing is exposing who you are and what you do and how it benefits them. And it's just, so just, you know, just keep in mind that bigger and more expensive is not better.
Yeah, that's very true. I thought Eric's suggestion about measuring the investment that you want to make in terms of how many you have to sell to just cover that simple cost, because you got other costs as well. You've got a banner, you've got to do something about decorating, you got to look good, you got to look professional, and after you've done one, of course, that cost starts going down if you start to repeat it. But always take a look at what the likely investment is, and remember that the one thing that you're really trying to do is to stand out from everybody else. That's the problem with the internet. Back in the old days, the internet worked because you were the only one. It wasn't that difficult to stand out. And now when you go on, every category's got 100,000 people in it. And when they are in China or someplace else, that doesn't you can't stand out. But by going to some show where either you are different or the group is small and you have a chance to share, you really do start to stand out. David Miller, you were talking a little bit ago about some shows and so forth that you were trying to get into. Talk about where and you're kind of a beginner at this task of trying to do shows. Talk about where you went to find what shows you could be getting into, and what kinds of objections and what kinds of costs and so forth you're running into. Dave Miller. Oh, you're still muted, David. Well, let me just move on. Sharon, let me talk to you just a little bit. You've done a ton of shows in the past. Talk about cost. Talk about where you go to find them.
Okay, Lori and Eric, I so agree with you about justifying the cost of a show as you get into it, because you do have to think about what the return on your investment is going to be, and of course how many people will be attending. In the course of my many decades being in the air purification business and now the air naturalizing business, I've been exposed to so many people, and you only have a quick second to make a good first impression. So I think it's important for people to know that your booth needs to be not cluttered, very easily to be what am I trying to say? So that you can instantly share the product and the technology, because they're not there long. They're thinking about who else they got to go see. They're being, pulled away by kids or other people. And our product is very demonstratable. And boy, if you can get somebody to recognize what it can do specifically for them, target in on what their hot button is. It might be a pet problem, a cat urine problem, snoring, kids, whatever. Of course, then we have our amazing ammonia demonstration that just knocks it out like that. The light bulb test. If you can't wow somebody with the kind of things that we can show them instantly, brushing up on your skills, because we've got things that just make people go, what's the magic word? Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when we first started doing shows, Cher, that you started especially in the what do I call the beauty industry?
Yes.
And you would go to a show and you look and see who all the other people in the booth. That's another thing you need to do, is get the list of who's all going to be there.
Yes.
And a lot of times, you were the only person there that was talking about dealing with the air.
Yes.
And everybody else was into which polish is best and which hair dryer is best,
Yeah.
and which, and all those kinds of things. And it was difficult for you to stand out. If you'd have had a new nail polish, it would be hard for you to break into that, because everybody else showing the same thing and you're one of many. But when you're the only one there that is doing it, then you're going to attract the people, because after you've looked at the booth, 6 booths with nail polish in it, pretty soon you're tired of looking at nail polish and are interested in whatever else might be there. So always trying to find the exception.
Right. Like how to get rid of the odor of that nail polish.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't have to be just the fact that you are different. People will say, well, what is this?
Yes.
And of course, you've got your elevator commercial right on the tip of your tongue. And so that is really so important. Dave, just try unmuting you again.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
So talk to me about where you started to look for a show to get into and the kind of thing they were talking about.
Well, the first place we went to was the internet and just did a search on trade shows. And the ones that we looked at had were very large, first of all, which is not, they had a very high entry price to get into. And most of them that we were looking at were craft shows where you had to build your own stuff or create your own things. It wasn't something that was manufactured. And those are the things we had to shy away from and look through. We're still looking at, we're still looking for a very small venue with a number of different, you know, different booths and things like that. One of the things that I've done in the past, a long time ago, was just visit different booths and start talking to people and creating conversation and getting business cards, picking them up off of every single booth. And then the day after, you'd be amazed how many people collect the business cards, but they never make the phone calls. And if you do that, you're a step ahead of everybody else.
Sure.
And you give them a call and say, hey, I talked to you yesterday, and they're thinking to themselves, wow, he actually really did call back. And that's a big step in the right direction.
What you know, there's always it's always a kind of a balancing act because people are really looking to try to if you're going to do a craft show, for example, they want people that are selling their crafts, obviously, to be there. And so they try to limit. They don't want something that's just totally off base. Some other kind of somebody that's selling insurance, for example, like that. But because we're dealing with a product that really enhances the quality of the air, makes it like the outdoor air, you really have a product that everybody can use. And so sometimes you can get into some of these shows by saying you're a supplier to the trade. So that the people, as opposed to being a seller of the crafts, you're a supplier to the trade, the craft trade. And usually they've got some kind of a provision for that. And especially, as I think Ken was talking, or somebody was talking about earlier, if you can somehow pre-sell it by knowing and introducing it personally to the people that were running that particular show. Which one of the panel members was talking about that? I can't remember. Is that you, Ken?
Share, I think. But that's so true. You know, your best prospects sometimes are the vendors, especially for the business side of it, because they're already consider themselves business people to some degree, and they're always looking to earn some extra money.
Yep. And you know, the whole thing is these little small shows are put together by individuals. They are not huge corporate shows where you've got to go through a lot of things. You basically are forced to kind of convince one person that you should be at that show because you have something of value to bring to that show. So that if you get maybe the person that's responsible for the show is you might have met their husband or their wife at some other place and got them to try the product ahead of time so that they know it's of value, because rules are bendable within reason. And if they believe that you have a product that is worthwhile and you're not there to recruit people, you're not there to do something that people hate, that they can bring something to value, they're going to find a way to bend the rules to get you in. And Lori, I know that you had one of the early shows, your little shows are kind of in the beginning sold out, and you were the new person in the village, and the people bent over backwards finally once they'd experienced the product to let you in. Wasn't that right?
Yes, the people who run the spring and fall home and health fair here are actually clients of mine, because her husband was continually having sinus infections every winter, and they tried it out, and he has not had any infections in the past year and a half since they've had the units. And so they also go around and say, hey, you're a real estate agent, Lori's got a product that really will help you. It's helped so many different areas. So, you know, the facilitators of the fairs are very important to reach out to. And that was a very easy one for me. I didn't have to work too hard, but some of them are a little bit tougher.
Well, yeah, especially I think you did an outside one. Outside is really tough to compete with Mother Nature, I might add. You really need to be an inside show so that they can tell the difference. But the point was that they made room for you. All the shows were booked, and they made room for you with very little announcement, because I know there was a quick panic to try to get some stuff, a banner and so forth, up there ready to go, because they believed in the product, they felt it should be shown there. They made room for you at the show, and this is again one of the advantages of doing small shows. And then of course, as you get bigger, and you have more people, and you can start to use them for other things as well. I know, Ken, you're somebody that likes to use booth. I know Bob Colasanti does. That's where he's at today. He's doing a relatively small show in the Jacksonville area, but he got his dealers over there, and he's got his dealers then work in the booth. Just as the next step, talk a little bit about how that can work out for you.
Well, it's a great teaching opportunity, and it also gives you an opportunity to let them see some success. Dealers need to know that it does work, and it will work, and it's simple. You don't make it complicated, and if you are friendly, people tend to be friendly. So you're kind of taking the edge off for you dealers, and showing them that it can be done, and it is being done, and that they can do it. And so it's a great teaching moment.
And sometimes just teaching people how to handle the questions that come up, where they can see you do it, gives them so much confidence that if Ken can do it, I can sure do it better than he can. Sure. And that's a good thing to have happen. Sherry, I don't know whether you're doing a lot of shows or not. You work a lot with individual people, but do you do shows?
Yes, we do. And I agree with everyone that the small shows are much, much better and the way to go, because our team actually has had big shows, as you know, where we paid a lot of money and it didn't work. It like Eric has been teaching, you try to look for the return, if the return will be worth it. And the thing is, from my experience, what we really get from these shows, or if we get a booth or something like that, are the leads that we generate from them. Because we have raffle, we have all kinds of stuff going on in that booth. And the truth is, we really get good leads from this. Not necessarily that we are able to sell a lot of systems in that particular day, but after that, we will get a few new dealers. And today, like I've said, we are trying to teach people, just do the small ones, not the expensive ones, because we are not in that position yet to do it. In fact, one of Caesar's people, who owns also a home care, she wants to do a show in that particular, they will have a, like for home care, assisted living, nursing homes, they will have like a sort of a convention where they will allow people to have booths, and she wants to join that. So I don't know if that's going to work or not. I personally will have one here in our Philippine Independence Day Parade in Jersey City on the 28th. Now that's a big affair, but I'm just taking a small table and just do the demonstrations and display the systems and everything. But like, I agree with Ken too. It's a learning process. I never go on a show, or I never have a booth that I go by myself. I will always have a team with me, because they will learn from that. They get excited from that. And after, they're able to do it on their own. By the way, Bill, last night I was watching the television, and they were introducing a new skincare line of product. And their biggest pitch line was this skincare products give energy to the skin. So we will have competition now with our energy. And the whole time they were demonstrating it, you hear the word energy again and again and again. So I said, now we're not alone.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. You know, it's so funny. I shared on, I think, one of the leadership calls about that. I was meeting with some people that had been to a doctor and had been told that they breathe better and so forth, that they would take medication because of the generation of mucus. But wouldn't it be so much better to just use the systems that God gave us, fresh air, in order to get the energy in the skin? Because I actually believe, you know, if you think about it, by getting rid of the toxins, by fresh air, you do absolutely get the energy into your system the same way. And so that's pretty cool.
So now this energy now will take out my wrinkles, my fine.
Yeah. Well, if it starts to make us all young again, I think I'll have to buy some as well. That's pretty good.
By the gallon.
By the
Now
gallon. By the
bet.
gallon. Well, Rick Stein, you know, talk a little bit. I don't know if you're doing meetings or not, but if you've got any ideas along those same kinds of things of using meetings as teaching devices, or is this giving you some ideas?
Well, right, right now I don't have a lot of meetings except with the corporation, the Heating and Air Conditioning Corporation, with the intergroup there. But we're searching out shows and, you know, try to make a list and see what's the best things to get into. But we're dang it, we're part of a business networking group where we get to, excuse me 1 minute. There we go. Where we're part of a networking group where we get to get up and, you know, give a 30-second at the meeting itself. It's sort of like a BNI, but not quite. But my salesman will take the on-demand AirRestore and just kind of turn it on every so often at meetings. And when he goes on a estimate for an air conditioning system, he'll take it with him to show what we got in that arena. On the show front, what I have done in the past, even if I couldn't be in one, I've gone to them, paid the admission, going around to the booths, interacted with the people, and taken their business card to call them back. And then I didn't have to really pay to get a booth spot and had more time to actually visit and interact instead of having to man my booth. And then I've been able to give out, you know, literature that way for various products, not just AirRestore. So that's always a good way. If you can't get in one, just pay the $5 to go to one, and then you kind of get the layout of how the traffic flow is. You kind of do like a little recon, if you will, to find out what's going on, but then you get to get all those business cards and all those potential leads anyway. So you always be looking out for leads. And then, you know, just every day when I just hear somebody, you know, coughing or whatever, like I was just doing, but had to clear my throat, every so often I'll wear, you know, take things with me, drop off literature whenever it's raining, whenever there's moldy situations going on. I interject with the technology and various, you know, solutions to this problem, because it's kind of always on my plate with being a mold inspector. So whenever things kick up, I'll get various calls for that, as well as heating and air conditioning. People will wonder why it smells in their house or something when the unit's on, and so we can address that too. So we got various facets to do. We're at a pretty good advantage, and we're really trying to ramp up how to take advantage of all of them.
Super.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Rick's also the president of the local chamber.
Aha.
Puts him in a position of authority and respect, and I know that probably wasn't real comfortable for Rick, but he did it anyway.
Well, you know that is always something, because helping other people and helping and contributing to organizations always establishes your credibility, and you become the go-to person for many more problems than you think you might be starting out to. Good move, Rick. You know that is. I know that those jobs require more work than you think they do. But they do end up paying off, because you are providing your own personal service. Dave Ball,
Yes, I'm back on now.
Okay.
Unmuted. What I'm looking at is I'm trying to get in some RV dealer shows, and I'm working on some areas like that. I would like to ask the panel. I used to be in a company where I was over 42 school districts over 4th of Arkansas. And in that, I worked with the teachers, the librarians. This needs to be in every classroom because of the flu season, the viruses that go around, and the sniffles and everything that these kids have. How would you approach the superintendent of this to get into the school system where we could speak to the teachers?
Bill, can I handle that?
Go ahead.
You're in a unique situation there, Dave, because the guy that sold more of the large commercial machines we had before was from Little Rock, Arkansas. And he had those machines in actually it's called the 5,000. He had those machines in every athletic locker room and their treatment room and that sort of thing. You know, you've got an opportunity there that was laid down by somebody else where you can go back to those coaches and the athletic directors. I don't think you can go in through the principal or the bureaucracy, so to speak.
Right.
But you can go in and say, hey, you know, you guys have that old machine here. Let me show you the newest technology. And I think that'll open doors for you. And it's a unique situation to you because the guy that sold those things he lived right there in Little Rock, and he'd load his Suburban up with them on a Monday morning, and he'd come back home on Friday night. And so and that's peculiar to you, but I think that's a great opportunity. I think he's laid the groundwork for you. If that helps.
And just a second comment on that. When you're trying to go into any kind of a regulated industry, which the education industry is, trying to go in through the public side is really tough because you've got everybody and their brother with an axe to grind that has nothing to do with the kids or the education or anything else. It's an industry. But if you pick a segment of it, start taking a look at where you can get into homeschool events, where you can get into small places like that. Once you get into a homeschooling group, for example, they talk to each other. And they tell you where the next little show is going to be, and they do that. And you're going to find that they are more interested in results than they are in the politics. And so it is much, much easier. And it's also a great way to build a network, too, because you're talking about people that are already passionate about something rather than just bureaucrats. And I guess I shouldn't sound sour on bureaucrats, but every time I have tried to deal with bureaucrats, I end up feeling like I've wasted my time because anything that's new, anything that is different, everything that everybody else is not doing already is too hard, and they're just not going to be willing to make the kind of commitment. But moving into areas where people have passion, interest, they care about results, then it really pays off. But I also will tell you got a great advantage there, as Ken said, because the work has already been done once, and they're ready for a new system because those are old systems.
Okay, thank you.
So just to kind of sum it up, if I will, unless if somebody's got another point they'd like to make, the idea is shows are great. We built so much business on shows over the years. Trying to find a show that is not expensive, using the formula that Eric has come up with, I think is great. I wish I'd thought of it, but it's you know, you got to get the value out of it. don't overcommit. Don't try to make too big a show, because you get so wrapped up in doing the show that you forget the results just kind of get swamped. Somebody was talking about with following the lead. Sherry was talking about following the leads. You got to follow the leads. I've talked to so many people. So, oh, I did this great show 2 months ago, and I've still got over half the leads. No, you don't. They're all dead. If you don't follow up on a lead pretty soon, it's not a lead anymore. It's just a name. And so you got to follow up, and you got to have a plan to do that. And if you've got too many leads, that's a great time to introduce a new somebody that you want to recruit into the business. Say, man, I got more leads than I can possibly work. Can you help me out on following up some of these leads? You know, it's a great tool. There's all these kinds of tools. Keep it simple. Keep it economically viable, and try to be the only one there that's doing what you're doing. I would never go to any kind of a show that sold air purifiers, for example, or cleaning agents or something like that, because you're only one of many. You want to be the only one there so that you really stand out. And I think if you do that, and you remember that now what we're doing is taking the opposite way of going, and we're saying, here is a highly retailable product, and we're going to focus on the retailability of it and then recruit off of the retailability, because once people discover that it works and you've got a way to go about it that's duplicatable, now you can show them a business that they can make significant income in, and that's just another way to go at the business. And it's not that the other way doesn't work, because you can show people that are networkers that's their whole business, is introducing new products all the time, and that's why they go from one to the next company, because they're always looking for something new to introduce. And we work that way too, because the marketing plan that we have is so lucrative, especially in the early stages for people getting involved. It's not that difficult to get them to go, and especially when there's a big payoff at the end. But this is just another approach that takes advantage of the fact that we have been absolutely blessed with a product that is different, unique, that requires networking, and we've got a plan that makes it something that people really want to get into. So panel, anybody got a comment that they would like to add?
I do. John and Barb are doing that pet expo this weekend, and I got together with them on the phone, and we were emailing information back and forth. I emailed them something that I use, and they tweaked it, and I was really kind of knocking myself in the head thinking, why didn't I come up with this? We typically do a free drawing, so they put their name and phone number or email or whatever you want on the front. What they put on the back was like a multiple choice thing. What issues can we help you with? Snoring, allergies, pet odors. And I thought that was really ingenious, is get them involved with what issues that they are having that you can help them address. And I never thought of that. And I think it's an excellent point that John and Barb came up with.
It really is. Really is. Anybody else? Well, guys, I think we put a lot of ideas out there. I hope people really start to take a look at doing something. This is one of the times of years when people are just getting out. They really recognize they've got a problem in their homes because they've been cooped up in them all year. They don't know what fresh air is like, and now they're getting out into it for the first time. Now's the time to kind of capitalize on it. Now, there's a lot of shows out there. There are a lot of shows all the time, and if you can get in and get into one, you'll always know where the next one is at, because all the other people at the show know where the next one is at. So breaking into that and using it as a substantial part of your business, I think, is just part of a good business plan. You know, we wrap it up. Sherry, did you want to say something? I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. As we kind of wrap it up today, you know, we have been blessed. We really, truly have been blessed. You see it every day. Eric and I see it every day with people that are coming on board, that are looking for a business opportunity. We don't get a chance to meet a lot of people, but we do meet them after you guys have met them. And I think the common thread that goes through there is people are saying, you know, I don't know really why I'm here. It just seems like God wants me here. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And the people that are staying and building and so forth all pretty much have that common thread that said, this is where it's going to be. This is going to be big, and I can contribute something meaningful. And I think it's really important that we remember that we're not in this thing by ourselves. I think God's blessed this company and continues to bless it in so many different ways. And I think the difficult thing is sometimes when you're having all these things happen around you to forget how much we have been blessed and to give thanks for those blessings. So Dave Ball, can I call on you today to just word of prayer of thanks for us?
Yes. Father, we thank you so much for the many blessings that you brought into our life. Most of all, for your son, Jesus, that came to die for us that we can have life. Father, we thank you for this business opportunity that Bill and Eric have worked so hard to bring to us, the development of a new technology that only you could have given Bill the information and the knowledge to build. And Father, we ask you as we go out this week that you'll bless each of our lives, our businesses, and help us to be a witness for you and a witness for AirRestore. For I pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, David. Thank you, panel. I'm going to stop the recording, and we will chat just in a little bit. But thanks so much for being here. If you're watching the video, get involved with who is showing you. We've got a lot of exciting things going on now. Is the time to be involved. Thank you, everybody.